Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a closer look Lisa Bloom. I've had several listeners email me and ask for some context on Lisa Bloom and to kind of explain who she is and what her role is in this Epstein case. Now, most people probably know Lisa Bloom as Gloria Allred's daughter. Well, she's been involved in some pretty high-profile cases to protect women, I guess you would say. But in my personal opinion, people like this more times do more harm than good for the case because they bring their own circus with them, right? So we're going to dive into this article. It's from Business Insider. It's a pretty in-depth profile of who Lisa Bloom is from the beginning of her career all the way through the Harvey Weinstein debacle. So let's jump right in. The career of Lisa Bloom, how Gloria Allred's daughter ended up defending Harvey Weinstein and came to regret it. Lisa Bloom has made a career out of representing the underdog. She hosts well-planned press conferences so women can tell their stories about being wronged by powerful men. She harnesses the media to get results when the courtroom isn't enough. Sounds good, right? She's a daughter of famous women's rights lawyer Gloria Allred. Doesn't sound so good, right? According to Politico, the names Allred and Bloom are synonymous with aggressive legal strategy on behalf of wronged women and relentless public relations campaigns against rich and influential men. Okay. But in 2017, the world found out she was working for alleged sexual assaulter Harvey Weinstein. Bloom went from being called a defender of women on the cover of a magazine to having her mother release a statement saying she would work with any Weinstein accuser, even if that meant taking on Bloom in court. Yeah, so they didn't sit down, Gloria Allred and Bloom, and come up with their strategy, right? All right, Mom, here's what we'll do. You'll say you'll take me on in court, even though I'm working for Harvey. That way we can hedge our bets. Before the backlash, Bloom had represented the women who had accused actor Bill Cosby and Fox News anchor Bill O'Reilly of sexual harassment and abuse. She tried to represent a woman who wanted to press charges against Donald Trump, but it never eventuated. After the backlash, she's still working, most notably for sexual offender Jeffrey Epstein's accusers. Here's her career to date. Look, to all those women who have been abused out there are better options for you. All right? Don't get dragged into the Gloria Allreds and the Lisa Blooms and all that nonsense, because all it's going to do is create unneeded controversy for you. Be focused on justice, not on the circus that comes with people like this. After high school, Bloom went to UCLA, where she first realized she wanted to be a lawyer. The realization set in when her UCLA debate team won the national championship, and she won Best Speaker in the U.S. She said it made sense because she was passionate about women's rights, civil rights, racial discrimination, and LGBT rights. She has all the boxes checked, folks. She's passing the purity test so far. Her mother had also been telling her to go to give law school a try. After UCLA, she went to Yale Law School, and graduated in 1986. In 1981, Bloom began working for her mother's law firm Allred, Morocco, and Goldberg. In 1997, Bloom and her mother, Allred, tried to sue the Boy Scouts of America for not allowing Katrina Yao, I don't know, I can't pronounce the name, Yeaw, to join since she was a girl. The case was dismissed as the BSA wasn't a business, which meant it could control who was allowed to be members. While working for Allred's law firm, she also worked on a case against the Roman Catholic Church about child sex abuse, and she sued the LAPD. Bloom continued to work for her mother's firm until 2001. Gloria Allred showed her daughter what the law could do. Allred had worked on high-profile cases, including representing Nicole Simpson's family during the O.J. Simpson trial, representing Norma McCorvey from Roe v. Wade, as well as suing Tiger Woods, Charlie Sheen, and Roman Polanski. Have you noticed what's going on here, folks? All of her cases are supposed high-profile cases. She's an attention hound. Her motivations are not as pure as they seem, and we'll see that as we get to the end of this article. Bloom told the San Fernando Valley Business Journal her mother showed her how important it was to push the law forward for women. She'd be honored if people compared her to her mother. Yeah, I'm probably the only person because your mother's just as bad as you. Allred taught Bloom some of her most important tactics, including getting clients to host press conferences. That's an important tactic? That's not an important tactic. It turns it into a circus, all right? Gloria Allred, you don't need to do those press conferences anymore with the internet around, all right? Social media is your press conference. You're welcome. Your next bit of advice, Mrs. Allred, will cost you. According to the Los Angeles Times, it's a signature move that she learned from her mother. But they have their differences. Well, Allred likes to sit at a long table on a phone directory for extra height. Bloom prefers to stand, and she likes to use visual aids. In 2017, she said she had to be creative in her work. She couldn't rely on the courtroom alone. We use the media, for example, to publicly shame people. That really tends to level the playing field. So that's where we're at. That's her strategy, to publicly shame people. Now, mind you, people that are only accused for the most part with this lady, right? How many times have they been wrong? How many times have Allred and her daughter here been not correct in what they're up to? And to see that she's working with the Epstein victims, it really bothers me. And I know it bothers a lot of you listeners out there. That's why we're going through this real quick. I've had 5, 6, maybe even 7 emails, perhaps, right around there, about this whole thing with Lisa Bloom, and how folks they don't understand how she is still heavily involved in cases such as these. From 2001, she hosted a daily show on Court TV. Bloom's career took off during and after O.J. Simpson's heavily reported trial, and she harnessed the growing attention for real-life crime cases, often appearing as an expert on network news shows like CNN and MSNBC. Look, I'm not going to knock your hustle. You got to do what you got to do to get your face out there and to have your product in the public eye. I get it. But is it necessary to turn every single thing into a circus? She said her time as a host was a lot of fun, working on air for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and it helped teach her to break down legal jargon into words that were understandable for people who weren't lawyers. She would continue to do this as an attorney. In 2010, after opening her own law firm, Bloom Firm, she represented Michael Lohan, Lindsay Lohan's father, as he tried to stop his daughter from going to jail. In 2015, she began representing model Janice Dickinson, who sued Bill Cosby for defamation after his lawyer dismissed her claims that she'd been drugged and raped by Cosby. Cosby's lawyer, Marty Singer, said the version of events Dickinson recounted on Entertainment Tonight were fabricated and an outrageous defamatory lie. In July, their suit was settled. In November 2016, Bloom was representing a woman who accused President Trump of sexual assault, but on the day of the press conference, she showed up alone. The woman she was representing, who was never named, alleged Trump raped her in 1994 when she was 13 years old. The press conference was meant to build momentum for the case, but the woman canceled it after she said her life was threatened. All right, okay. In March 2017, Weinstein optioned the rights for Bloom's book titled Suspicion Nation. Bloom's book was about Trayvon Martin, a 17-year-old African-American boy who was shot by neighborhood watchman George Zimmerman. Weinstein had plans to create a mini-series based on the book featuring both Bloom and Jay-Z. Bloom said she was excited and wanted to make more people aware of racism in the legal system. In April 2017, Bloom convinced television presenter Wendy Walsh to talk to the media about Bill O'Reilly becoming hostile towards her after she turned down his advances. Walsh had also been offered a contributor's role that disappeared when things between them went sour. Walsh was one of the 3 women Bloom represented who accused Bill O'Reilly of sexual assault. She hosted a media conference to shame O'Reilly since Walsh could not sue because too much time has passed. After telling her story, Bloom got Walsh to call Fox sexual harassment hotline to force an investigation. So you couldn't get the guy fired, so let's publicly shame him, because that's exactly what we want to do in this country. That's the proper way to go about things for a lawyer. Give me a break, Lisa Bloom. Later that month, O'Reilly walked away from Fox News. The New York Times first reported 5 women had accused O'Reilly of sexual harassment and had been paid about $13 million to remain quiet. But it was in part to Bloom's strategy that O'Reilly was forced to leave. She posted a video online of Walsh phoning in to complain about the harassment and did the same again when another accuser came forward. Fox News, embarrassed, let O'Reilly go. Look, Bloom was angry that Fox News had protected O'Reilly for as long as it did. That is just unacceptable that all of these women are driven out and all of the men get to keep their jobs. Or if they leave, they get these huge payouts, she told Ringer. In June 2017, Bloom hosted a press conference with well-known comedian Kathy Griffin. The conference was meant to take the heat off Griffin, who had been receiving threats and abuse online due to her posting a photo depicting President Trump with his head cut off. So, posting a picture of a president with his head cut off, any president, that seemed like a good career choice for Kathy Griffin? I don't blame people for their reactions when you act like a moron, Kathy Griffin. Bloom said that the Trump family were bullying Griffin, but the conference failed to change the narrative around Griffin, and it was ridiculed in the media. So she was being bullied by the people in the media and people online, but it's okay when Lisa Bloom shames people who haven't been, they've only been accused, by the way. So to shame those people without giving them a chance to defend themselves, I don't see that as a proper strategy. I think that, once again, it muddies the waters, it makes things more difficult for your client, and it sways public perception. Here's an idea. Just go about your business and win the cases in the courtroom. In June 2007, Bloom helped the OC star Misha Barton in a revenge sex case. Bloom reached a settlement with Barton's former boyfriend, Adam Spa, which set out he would never release images he had of Barton and he would keep away from her forever. In July 2017, Bloom represented Blac Chyna against her former fiancé, Rob Kardashian. Have you noticed a trend here? It's only these high-profile cases where she thinks that she can build her profile a little more. All right? She's not taking the case of, the little 15-year-old girl who was raped. No. She's taking the cases of people where she believes she can build her profile more and chase the fame, just like her lame mom, Gloria Allred. Chyna alleged the members of the Kardashian family had interfered with her E-Series Rob & Chyna, and she was suing for damages. Rob had also posted revenge porn after the split, which Bloom also represented her for. In 2017, she said in an interview about the case that the victories were helping women grow stronger. I've had clients who have had tiny little girl voices, and then by the end of their case, they're speaking like an adult woman and they stand taller. Oh, stop the hyperbole, all right? She said, "It's a great feeling to go through an experience of standing up for yourself and prevailing, and I think you really grow from that experience." In 2019, she dropped Chyna as a client and said she hadn't been paid by her. The case is still ongoing. Yeah, she really stood up there, huh, Miss Bloom? She stood up tall before the wagon and shafted you on the pay. In July 2017, a cover story for W Magazine had mother and daughter standing side by side beneath a headline calling them the defenders of women. No, I don't agree with that. I would think that, like I said, their presence makes things way more convoluted and gives the other side a reason to say that the victims are only going after money, because at the end of the day, that's all red, and all Bloom care about is more money. Fazools, folks. That's all they care about. Fazools. In August 2017, Bloom represented Quantasia Sharpton and 2 anonymous women who alleged Usher had exposed them to herpes without telling them he had the condition. All right, look. Hold on. Did they have consensual sex? If they did, well, I don't really know what to say to them. I mean, you're having consensual sex with a pop star. You have to think he's had his time with other women, right? In an interview with Billboard about the case, she said, "I'm generally on the side of the underdog against a powerful person or company. That's what I've been doing for 31 years. Oh my God, terribly written article. It's written as she was seeking justice and accountability. She had said she was seeking justice and accountability is what it should say. On October 5th, 2017, things began to fall apart for Bloom as the New York Times published its first story of allegations of sexual misconduct against media mogul Harvey Weinstein. All right, folks. And again, this is like when you hang out with a pedophile after you know he's a pedophile. All right? This is the same concept with her. She knew what Harvey Weinstein was. She knew. The story quoted Bloom said she'd been working for the mogul for a year and was helping him understand gender and power dynamics. She's quoted saying Weinstein was an old dinosaur learning new ways. I wonder how much he was paying you to say this stuff, Miss Bloom. 2 days later, on October 7th, facing public pressure, Bloom said she would no longer represent Weinstein. She said it had been a colossal mistake to represent him, and she regretted it, but she didn't go into it blind. No shit. She knew all the allegations that everybody else knew about him, right? Just like the Obamas knew and still sent their daughter to be his intern. She told The Ringer, "I thought this was an opportunity to change the narrative. I thought that this was an opportunity to work with somebody on the other side and try to get them to behave better. I don't usually have opportunities like that." Yeah, because you're the scorched earth policy. You're not interested in looking at both sides. You're not interested in helping both sides. Stop it. You're interested in increasing your profile and making a money grab. I thought that we would do something different and it would be an improvement, but obviously it was not well received. So again, just like Prince Andrew, she's tone deaf. It has nothing to do with being well received. All right? It has to do with doing the right thing, Gloria Allred. How can you be the champion of women while working behind the scenes for a scumbag like Harvey Weinstein? You're just another person who flaps their gums and acts like they're an advocate for these people. You're not. It's all about the dough. To add to the injury, Gloria Allred, Bloom's mother, released a statement to Time about what she thought of Bloom working for Weinstein. The statement said that she loved Lisa and respected her, and she made her own decision, which she had no role in. And see, right away, her mom, even though it's her daughter, she could care less. She's willing to throw Bloom under the bus to make sure that her profile is not damaged any more than it already is. News flash, Gloria Allred. You're tainted. You're damaged goods. You're terrible. Retire. She also said, had I been asked by Mr. Weinstein to represent him, I would have declined, because I do not represent individuals accused of sex harassment. I only represent those who allege that they are victims of sexual harassment. While I would not represent Mr. Weinstein, I would consider representing anyone who accused Mr. Weinstein of sexual harassment, even if it meant that my daughter was the opposing counsel. Oh, I bet you would. How about that circus, huh? Because that's really going to get the whole entire thing moving. The two of you morons in the courtroom jibber-jabbering at each other. Yeah, just what we need. More of a mockery of the justice system. We're not getting enough of that. The pressure did not ease for Bloom, who also represented Roy Price, a studio executive at Amazon accused of sexual harassment. 5 days after dropping Weinstein, she dropped Price. Price was accused of sexually harassing Isa Hackett, the daughter of novelist Philip K. Dick. Deadline reported that by October 12th, Bloom was no longer representing Price. All right, so not just Harvey Weinstein, you worked with another powerful man who was accused of this shit. Don't even attempt to get on your high horse, to get on your mountaintop and scream to the rest of us how we should live. All right? Or how anyone else should conduct themselves. Lisa Bloom, you've been exposed. On October 22nd, Kathy Griffin took to social media to condemn working with Bloom. Griffin called Bloom a fame whore and said she'd gotten bloomed. On a Facebook video, she said, "I'm not going to sue Lisa Bloom. I don't think Lisa Bloom should be shot like people wish me, but there's my fucking statement." Effing statement. In a follow-up interview with the Daily Beast, Griffin said Bloom's 2 days of representation cost her $40,000. In a public response, Bloom said that the interview had gone so badly because Griffin had not followed the notes when she spoke to the media. It gone bad because Griffin had no leg to stand on, and Bloom, like Griffin said, is searching for fame. So she thought she would take this case going against Donald Trump and she'd build more of a profile, yada, 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 yada. The same reason she's involved in this Epstein case. Miss Bloom, please step back. Let real lawyers like Chuck Cooper handle this case, please. Despite a rough year, Bloom continued to defend women against famous men. when she wasn't defending famous men against women, I guess. In March 2018, Bloom hosted a press conference with Fabiola Dattis, who accused actor Steven Seagal of sexual assault in 2002. In December 2018, the case was dropped due to too much time having passed since the alleged incident. So she knew the statute of limitations was up, and once again, another famous person, let's bring it up 16 years later and let's go for the gusto. Look. It's apparent what's going on here, and it's apparent why some of the listeners of the show wanted me to do this profile. We can't just trust people who say that they're on our side. We can't just trust people who act like they have our best interests at heart. All right? Actions speak louder than words. In April 2018, casino mogul Steve Wynn sued Bloom for defamation. Bloom was representing a Las Vegas dancer who had accused Wynn of sexual misconduct and said he leered at her at performers. Bloom responded saying she would beat him in court. In January 2019, she said, "I can't wait to win my Steve Wynn case, which I will do after I tell compelling, fact-based, corroborated stories at the deposition." Again, another high-profile person she's looking to poach. We're on to you, Bloomsky. In June 2019, a profile on Bloom showed that despite all of the controversies, she's still thinking strategically. Of course she is. She is driven by money and fame. When asked by the San Fernando Valley Business Journal about what advice she had to a company accused of sexual harassment, Bloom said, "The hard thing for a company is when it's somebody who is really integral to the company, someone who brings in a lot of money, someone who is the chief executive. I would advise businesses think about how this is going to play out in front of a jury of 12 employees. Think about how all of your little technical arguments are not going to fly. Do the right thing." And again, she doesn't care about bringing it to trial. That's not what she wants. She's looking to plea. She's looking to get settlements. She's looking to say, "I made them capitulate." She doesn't want to go to trial. She's not a trial attorney. She's not Chuck Cooper. She will get hammered in trial. In August 2019, Bloom said she would file civil claims on behalf of two accusers against a convicted sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein, after he killed himself, allegedly. Bloom told Reuters she held off suing Epstein when federal prosecutors were still looking into sex trafficking charges against him. After Epstein killed himself, allegedly, Bloom told The Guardian her mission was to get justice for the women, even though Epstein could no longer be held accountable. On September 8, 2019, seemingly out of nowhere, Bloom tweeted a reminder of her 2017 apology about Weinstein. Well, it's obvious why she's doing this. I mean, again, she wanted to jump into this Epstein case. She tweeted the apology as a little bit of damage control. And, that's basically what it is. There's no other way to assess that situation. She was trying to rebuild her image like so many of these people do. And to do that, she figured she would use the media and she would use some of these other high profile cases to show everybody that she's a woman of the people. 2 days later, New York Times reporters Jodi Kantor and Megan Twohey published a book called She Said, Breaking the Sexual Harassment Story That Helped Ignite a Movement. Inside was a memo from Bloom telling Weinstein how she would be an asset for his legal team. It also showed her hourly rate of $895. $895 to throw women under the bus. This is who's going to defend the Epstein accusers? Come on. They deserve better. In the memo, she said, "I feel equipped to help you against the roses of the world because I have represented so many of them," Bloom wrote. "They start out as impressive, bold women, but the more one presses for evidence, the weakness and lies are revealed." This is what she said to Harvey Weinstein, okay? A convicted, just an obviously sick, accused, disgusting man. She devised Weinstein on a campaign to discredit Rose McGowan by making it look like she was a pathological liar. And she visited the New York Times offices with him to explain to journalists why Ashley Judd, another accuser, was not mentally stable. Wow. All right, so there is our good friend Lisa Bloom, a woman of the people, but at the same time still working for Harvey Weinstein, still making moves for Harvey Weinstein, telling people, going into the New York Times offices and telling people that Ashley Judd's mentally disabled, mentally disturbed, etc., etc. And she is going to champion the Epstein victims, huh? Look, folks, again, just another layer on top of another layer on top of another layer of crap. I hope everybody is having a fantastic day. Here in Las Vegas, it is absolutely perfect weather, for me anyway. Rainy, cloudy, and just completely dreary. That means doing nothing today but working on the podcast. So I'll definitely have some more content later on for you guys today. If you guys want to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com, BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. And if you would like to support the show, donate to the show, you could do that in the description area here. You'll find a link for our GoFundMe page. You can click on that and you can donate, or just a simple share of the content is important as well. All right, folks, I'll talk to you guys later.